Garrain Jones, welcome to the Thought Room. Thank you so much for coming today and being here with me.
Thank you so much for having me and for creating the platform, being brave enough to create a platform for stories like mine to have wings and be seen.
Yes. Thank you. Speaking of stories like yours, I was thinking about having you today and how I was going to welcome you. And normally I know a little bit more actually about most people that I have on this show. And I was eating breakfast, kind of walking around my kitchen, and I was like, I'm going to just read a little bit about Garrain. And then I actually just had this very strong desire not to. And this is, a little out of character, but I am really excited to just hear your story without really knowing a lot, and the juiciness and the curiosity and the excitement that's been bubbling up in me is here. And so just for context, I often like to tell people a little bit about how we connected in the first place. And so you and I think we met at a friend's house, Cal's house, who's also been a guest on this show. And he has the podcast, The Great Unlearn, which I've been a guest on. And so we met at Cal's, and I remember being really struck by your energy. And you have this way of commanding a room, as you know, and you wear it so well. And to me, when I met you, I saw a person who had walked through a great deal. I didn't know what it was, but I saw it in you because I recognized pieces of myself. And so I earmarked it in my mind. Yes, someday I really want to hear this man's story. And so here we are, maybe a year later or something. And I'm so blessed to have you. So thank you for being the way that you be in the world. And there's so much focus on what we do, right? But thank you for being the way that you be, enough that when I met you for the very first time, I could recognize it. Yeah. So I want to turn it over to you. And I'm not necessarily going to start with the typical, who are you in the world question. Although if you want to go that direction about what you do and give people context, you're welcome to. But truly what I'm most interested in is what is exciting to you, what is alive in you right now in this moment. And if that curtails you into the story of your life, let's go there. But what is alive in you right now in this moment, Garrain Jones, and what is it that you're excited to share with the world?
Yeah. So what is alive in me is the opportunity to be a dad again. Just gave me and my wife, we just gave birth. It's my second daughter, but it's Blair's first daughter, baby soul, Ivy Moon Jones, who's 8 months.
Great name.
And it's very interesting, the contrast from when I was 22 and now 42, almost 43 years young, and how I'm able to really be a witness of the shame that I carried and alchemize that into healing, because it was 20 years of shame for not knowing. And now I've grown so much in the past 20 years. I'm able to really be a witness of who I was and be like, oh, you know what? I have so much compassion for the anger that my daughter's mom, Laura, carried, where I had no idea why. I had no idea why Kylia carried that anger until now, 20 years later, being so present with my new daughter. I'm like, oh, I wasn't there for the little moments. I wasn't there energetic, but I didn't know.
Like you were physically there, but energetically you weren't there?
Physically there. And then when I physically there, I wasn't energetically there. And then I also wasn't I wasn't physically there. Say there was an instant where my daughter said, never talk to me again. And so I was like, well, I want to respect her wishes. I didn't know to stay. I didn't know to keep pursuing.
Yeah.
I didn't know to keep showing up.
Right.
I didn't know that those weren't real words, but underneath this, I just want you to love me. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I just listened.
Yeah.
And then I carried that shame for 20 years. So I had my new baby and I was like, oh, it actually wasn't shame. It was just, I was living in a world of unknown.
Yeah.
Now I'm so aware. Now I have deep empathy and compassion in that lane. And it supports me in understanding more of who I was when I was 22. And I have a lot of compassion for him too. I've forgiven so much of myself.
Yeah.
I didn't have any examples growing up at all. Like nobody modeled parenting in a way that represented who I could have shown up as.
Right.
So that's alive in me. Just being a rock star dad right now is alive in me. Being a rock star husband is alive in me.
Yeah.
Being rock star deep in the spiritual world and having epic business sense, which is not quite common in the spiritual world, which produces millions, like without forcing.
Yeah.
That's alive in me.
Yes.
Constantly coming up with creations that are impacting millions of people and I don't have to force it or overcompensate. That's alive in me.
Yeah.
And me simply doing what I know for a fact I was called here to do without hesitation, without any doubt, without needing any permission, in full confidence, full faith, full embodiment. That's really what's alive in me.
Wow. This is lighting up a lot of questions in me, particularly this like sense of confidence that you have around, I know why I'm here. I know why I'm here. And I know there's going to be many people listening to this that just have this insatiable desire for that feeling, but they're riddled with doubt and fear and all of these things.
Yeah.
How have you come to acquire and embody that feeling? And in the course of following, recalibrating to the lighthouse of that, throughout your life, have there been haters? Have there been people that have tried to knock you off your course? How do you deal with that as you've risen from what I'm only assuming has been incredible challenge to where you are now?
I can tell you this, one thing I've learned in my journey of continuous journey of evolution, whatever you acknowledge exists and energy goes where energy flows. So if you acknowledge the haters and you give it energy, you give it time, you give it affection, you nurture it.
Right.
Whatever you fight for, you get to keep.
Right.
And what I learned is how to efficiently demagnetize distractions by being grounded in my vision and my purpose, why I'm here and who I really am deep down on the inside. Not who I want people to think I am.
Right.
Not the mask of what I put out. Not what my mom has coaxed me into being, or my dad, or society, or my skin color, or the president, or the left, or the right, or the center, all these different titles that we get so wound up and caught up in.
Yes.
Deep, deep down on the inside, little 5-year-old Garrain always wanted to be a superhero. Wanted to have abs like an action figure. Wanted to be stronger than the average man. Wanted to save and change lives all over the world. So outwardly, people like, oh my God, Garrain, you've spoken in 75 countries. You speak on stage with 55,000 people. You've written a best-selling book. You've been in Forbes. You've been in da-da-da-da-da. But inside is little Garrain, who is wearing a cape, flying all over the world, saving and changing people's lives with abs like an action figure, stronger than the average human. I'm simply living who I always wanted to be. And people see the adult shell, but that's not where I operate from. I operate from the artist deep within, the little kid, the little kid that is actually buried inside of most of us, that was fearless, that was brave, that was risky, that was curious, that was always looking for discovery, always asking questions because things didn't make sense, wasn't trying to fit in because It was just like full confidence and bravery and passion and energy. That's the world that I play in. And that is a very potent, powerful energy that I call artist power. So by tapping into my artist power, that system is the system that it's kind of like when you put a specific address in a GPS system, it gives you 5 different ways to get there, but it gives you direction to get there. Being tapped in to my innate nature has me connected to nature. Like the trees out there, the world out there is the world that's inside of me. So the deeper and then the more vast I'm connected to nature and the world out there, I benefit from all its resources. I benefit from creation. I benefit from co-creation. Nature doesn't force itself upon anything. So we shouldn't have to force things to happen. It's a very calm and patient and graceful way of being.
Yeah.
So I've learned how to tap into my artist, use that power, and teach other people in a very safe way how to remove whatever's in the way, whether it be sexual trauma, whether it be mom, dad, abandonment, whatever's in the way. I'm only focused on the little kid, never the adult. And because I create a safe space for people to experience themselves, it seems as though the universe says, yes. Now let me give you all the necessary resources to keep going and keep doing and keep being.
Right. That resonates a lot. So for people listening who want to get in touch with that little kid, who maybe feel like they're in a point in their lives that they've just gotten so far away from the core of who they are, what would you say to them? What could you walk us through right now as a little mini taste of getting back in tune with that?
What happens all the time? People are like, I don't know. Something just told me. I don't know. A little voice inside.
Right.
So maybe if you're going to label anything or get caught up in a label, maybe label that something just told you as your inner child. And maybe that little voice, which is often not little, but this little voice inside, it's probably just under a bunch of things that's not serving your soul's purpose to begin with.
Right.
So what I would walk people through, I just want to tell you a story. There was a lady a couple months ago. She was like, I have everything. I have the job, the money, the I have the man of my dreams. I have the kids. Something is missing. Something is missing. And I could hear the undertone in her voice, and I'm like, I can hear her soul's not happy, and but the child soul is not happy. I said, what did you used to love to do when you were a little kid? She said, I used to love to dance. I was like, when was the last time you danced? She said, 20 years ago.
Right.
But I always get these urges to dance and I don't do it. I said, you have kids now? She says, yeah, I have 3. What would happen if one of those kids came up to you and tapped you on the leg? Mom, 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 mom. I said, what would happen if you ignored that child for 20 years?
Yeah.
She said, we probably wouldn't have not probably. Y'all wouldn't have a relationship. Right. Why? Because there would be no emotional closure.
Yeah.
Because that relationship must be nurtured. First off, your child has your same nervous system because the child was birthed from you. So for you not to honor that child, to see the child, to be a witness of that child, and support that child in growing, well, then the child separates, rejection, abandonment, and disassociates. So the same way that child would feel, whatever you used to love to do that nobody taught you when you were a little kid, it just brought you so much joy. It's connected to your inner child, which I feel is directly connected to source energy.
Yes.
So when you honor it, it brings you more of the same. And when you don't honor it, and you get those little urges to dance and you don't do it, and you get the urge to, oh my God, somebody should create this, and you don't do it.
Right.
And every time you don't honor that little voice or that urge in the moment when it happens, that's you, your adult self, saying to the little kid inside of you, I don't hear you.
You don't matter.
I don't see you.
Yeah.
You
Your
don't
needs
matter.
are not important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what happens over time, those little urges is a little kid saying, Mom.
Right.
Mom.
Right.
Dad.
Yeah.
And when there is no honoring, often the little kid says, nobody's home.
Yeah.
So the soul disassociates itself from the physical.
Yes.
And that is what's missing.
Yes.
If there's no alignment,
Yeah.
there's no alignment, because the deepest reaches of your soul, the deepest reaches of your heart, adults are deteriorated children. So if you forget about the child, guess what? Your life will be a manifestation of the running program of abandonment.
Yeah.
Every guy, every girl, every job, you'll literally manifest the same thing over and over and over. However, that same person, I said, sign up for a dance class. Not don't casually dance. Sign up for a dance class. And when you go to dance class, bring your little girl with you and say, you know what? Your dreams matter. It really matters. And I'm not going to have the adult dance. I'm going to drop into that little girl and I'm going to allow her to just dance fully and freely, fully embodied. Yeah. She did that for 6 months. And she called me. She was like, I don't know what happened. Sex is better. Money is better. Relationship with my kids, everything shifted. I said, I know, because the outside is the manifestation of what's going on inside of the brain that's connected to the heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in short terms, feed the little kid and then watch how many tricks, how much energy, how much love, how much passion, how much inspiration that little kid wants to keep sharing and showing. Ooh, and look what else I got. Ooh, and this thing too, because your nervous system needs to know that it can trust you. And when it doesn't know that it can trust you, subconscious mind goes to the automatic. Oh, you're not going to do it. I'm going to write this. No, you're not. And then you just go to no, you're not. So you've got to build the trust.
Right. Right. Beautiful.
That was my whole retreat, Awaken the Artist Within. It was 51 people had a massive breakthrough. I've never created anything like that before in my life.
You want to talk more about it?
Okay.
If you want to.
Yeah.
But first, I was thinking about, just to close the loop on this inner child, I was writing this morning. I'm writing a book right now. And I was writing this morning about the inner voice. And that's what this really makes me think of, is how much time and energy do we put into how we speak to each other, right? And oftentimes it's based on how we want to be perceived as a kind person or a conscious or a spiritual person. And so we're trying to be so impeccable with our speech to one another. But how much energy do you put on making sure the words that are crossing the threshold of your mind that become your feelings and they become your vibrational expression in the world, how much energy are you giving to that?
Right.
Right. And I love this idea of building trust with ourselves, and the building of trust and like that deep listening and actually acting on what the inner child or the higher self or whatever the soul, whatever you want to call it, that is so visceral to creating the trust with ourselves. And that brings me to something we started to talk about before we hit record. And I was like, wait, save this. Yeah. And that was our yeses and our nos, our yeses and our nos. So before you talk about your retreat, would you be willing to talk about, hell yeses and nos and all of that?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So there's a lot of people for the sake of approval. Yes. yes, I'll do it. But deep down inside, they really don't want to do it.
Right.
And then it always ends up weird. I knew I should have. And it was like, yo,
Yep.
how long do you want this running program to go?
Right.
And so there was a moment, and this was long before. So a lot of lessons that I learned is as I connect the dots looking backwards on my life.
Yep.
There was a time when I was considered one of the most impactful models in America, not just for a Black man, period.
Like supermodels.
Supermodel, like legit. On all the music videos, L'Oreal hair commercial, Gap, Old Navy, Tommy Hilfiger.
Really?
You walk in 2000, 2001, you walk into the mall, you see me in 7 different campaigns. Like I was like really doing it up, really big.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's insane. I was in a Destiny's Child jumping video.
Stop
I was
it.
her boy. I was Beyonce's boyfriend.
Oh my
Yeah, if you go, you'll look at young and supple 18-year-old me in that video.
And supple. I have to look it up
Yeah,
now.
no, it's
You
wild.
said 18. So I want to know the age that you were at when all this was happening.
18.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so before all that happened,
Yeah.
I was. Someone had made a joke, and they said, "Maybe you should try modeling," and they started laughing. I was 5'9".
Mm.
I had nobody's abs. I never considered myself good looking because girls that I liked in high school didn't like me. I didn't start puberty till I was 18 years old. So I was little for a long time.
Mm.
And like people like, oh, you're like my little brother. So I didn't have confidence that any girl liked me.
Right.
So then I had short man, little man syndrome. So someone laughed and said, you should be a model. I was like, I'll prove you wrong. So instead of going to different 2 or 3 agencies, I went to every agency that you could think of in LA, and I didn't have a car. So imagine over a 4-day, it was a 3 or 4 day time span. The first one, I put all the easiest ones first, and I put Ford and Wilhelmina last. So over 3 or 4 days, I got rejected 4 or 5 times. They're like, we already have somebody that looks like you. You're not tall enough. Because the going height for male models was 6'1". I'm 5'9". I didn't have a portfolio. I didn't have photos. It's before digital age and 2000. And so I get there and I'm like, oh my God, I don't look like none of these guys. I'm Black. And during that time, there wasn't a lot of diversity in fashion modeling. It's like certain freaking hip hop music videos. But what I was going into like high fashion. So they had the one light skinned guy with the green eyes, and then they had the one dark skinned dude that looked African. And that was it for the guys. And they had a couple of the girls.
Right.
Everybody else was like white or like Brazilian looking and Kate Moss looking, things like that during that time. So either you're Boris Kojo, Tyson Beckford, or you're like David Beckham. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's way different now, but back then,
Right.
not the same. So I went in there with every insecurity. And then after they were like, you're too short. I'm like, I knew it. And then they were like, oh, we already have somebody that looks like, and they would literally look at me like I spit on them. We already have somebody that looks like you. They'd look at me maybe 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So imagine I was already insecure. And I was 10 times more insecure after their feedback.
Right.
So I get rejected. That was a no. And then I get rejected again. That was a no. And then I get rejected again. So I get rejected 4 times in one day. I have no car. So I'm like traveling by bus and then walking and then by bus. And next day, rejection, 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 rejection. Next day, rejection, rejection, rejection. I was like, why am I even doing this? This is so stupid. And I hear this little voice say, Garrain, you've come this far. Keep going. So I get to the last. I save the last. I'm like, I didn't even get into the agencies I thought I was going to get in. Ford and Wilhelmina are last. Ford, we already have somebody that looks like you. Get to Wilhelmina. It was a cattle call. It was like 70 dudes in the room. And these dudes were already working dudes. People on billboards, big time music videos, all these different things. I'm like, if these guys are getting, they're looking at them for like 10, 15 seconds. These guys are getting rejected. I know I'm going to get rejected. And then this little voice inside said, Garrain, calm down. Just keep moving forward. And I didn't listen. So in the middle of all these other guys getting rejected, I get up, I walk out, I said, there's no use. There's no use. Walk all the way down, voice comes back, Garrain, you've come this far. Just keep moving forward, keep going. I go back upstairs, gets to the last 3 people. I'm the second to the last person. Next thing you know, they look at me and it's longer than 15 seconds. The guy is like, huh. And I'm like, yo, this is like 2 minutes. He's like, huh. Can you remove your shirt? We want to take a Polaroid. And I'm like, oh, they didn't do that for like 75 other people. He goes to the back room. I'm like, why would they hire me? I don't look like anybody. And that was my insecurity. Came back and he goes, we'd love to represent you. You don't look like any of our models. So what I gathered from it was I never knew how powerful a powerful yes was until I grew through a bunch of no's. I was willing to grow through no after no after no after no after no after no. And then it gave me exposure to a powerful yes. And here's how powerful the yes was. They sent me on 2 auditions that day. Actually 3. They sent me on the Skechers campaign, the Buckle campaign. And these are campaigns that are paying like $7,500. I have $0 to my name. $7,500 for Buckle, $8,000 for a Skechers campaign, and like a $9,500 job for the Destiny's Child Jumpin' video. That day, I went only to the Skechers and Buckle campaign video. I ran out of time and I didn't even make it to the Jumpin' Destiny's Child Jumpin' video. I woke up the next day and my agent goes, and I was like, oh my God, he's calling. He's going to be mad. Somebody finally gave me a shot. Yeah. He's calling to tell me I messed up because I didn't go to the Destiny's Child Jumpin' video. He said, congratulations, you booked all 3. And I'm like, even the Destiny's Child video? He goes, yeah. Beyonce just happens to be with Wilhelmina and she happened to walk into the agency and handpick your card off the wall.
Stop.
And I ended up doing the Destiny's Child Jumpin' video as Beyonce's love interest. And I booked the Skechers campaign and the Buckle campaign, all 3 of them in the same day.
Wow.
So what that taught me was rejection only makes you stronger. Or no's, the power of saying no. It can go the other way. You saying no to someone else makes your yes more valuable.
Yes.
Or someone saying no to you exposes you to the yes that you're actually supposed to have. I was supposed to be with that agency.
Yes.
And I went on to book Wilson's Leather, Express Men, travel all over the world, doing all these different things because I found the right agency at the right time. And what built my capacity to be able to continuously book jobs, because I was never focused on rejection, ever. I was never focused. I was like, I'm going to get the one that's meant for me.
Right.
So I got rejected a bunch of times, but I never focused on that because I'm going to get the one that's meant for me. And it would always be a powerful job.
Yeah, you trusted.
You grow through your nose to earn your powerful yes. And the other way around, you learn how to say no so that your yes is more valuable. Because even the other way around, people's like, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll take you to the airport. Yes, I'll go to church with you, but you really don't want to go. Yes, I'll do this. Now your yes, it doesn't hold weight.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because you just keep saying yes to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're like, no, this. No, it's like, I won't. I have something going on. No. Yes. Oh my God, really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now the yes gets treated way different.
Oh, and you can feel it. You can feel it when someone's saying yes because they're doing it out of obligation.
Yep.
And they show up and their energy is really half-ass, or, even being like a half-ass friend. Like, this is something that I've been exploring lately. It's like, am I afraid to burn bridges? And so do I keep just enough distance and just text, just to keep all the plates spinning? And what does it look like to actually just say, I'm actually going to tighten the inner circle.
Yeah.
This is where I am excited about spending my energy right now. And actually, having to have some difficult conversations, letting people know that actually I really love what I've got going on in my life. And I'm excited to spend my time on the things that I'm choosing right now. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
And the one thing I wanted to share with you is I'd rather fall off a mountain. Now knowing what I'm aware of, I'd rather fall off a mountain than live another day with friends experiencing me as the mask that I show them, but never having met the real me. Because if you've never met the real me and then you choose not to be my friend, then you're not being friends with the fake person. So I'd rather give you me full throttle. Like really me. And
Hell
if
yes.
you choose to be my friend,
yes,
we're meant to be friends. If not, I love you and I love the time we had and I love what I've learned. This is who I really am.
Yeah.
And then you choose to be my friend or not be my friend, at least you know you're getting the real person.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Okay. So what would you like to share about the impact of your retreat and the feelings inside of your body when you saw what was going on in the room?
Well, I'll tell you, I was in a deep meditation. Well, typically I say deep meditation. I was in a mushroom journey, solo. And
how long ago was this?
It's a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I here for? What am I supposed to be doing? Like really, I've done a lot of things. I've impacted millions of people.
Right.
But I still don't feel like the world has really experienced my true Dharma. And I know it. And then I heard this voice and I was just trying to connect with my ancestors. And I just want to be an open channel for infinite wisdom to flow through. And I heard this voice say, Garrain, I want you to look back at all the things that you've never been taught how to do that you've just effortlessly done and people have been impacted. And it had me thinking, I'm like, okay, so I remember being in the modeling industry and I remember when I retired, then I started training girls and guys how to walk the runway. And I remember them telling me, man, I just feel more confident. And I would always hear this word, confident. I feel more brave. I feel like I can take more risks. And then LA Models hired me they brought me in to do work with the new faces. And that's like the 14, 15, 16-year-old models to teach them how to be on camera, to just like really be embodied. Nobody taught me. And at the end of that 6-hour workshop, these parents were like, my daughter, I've never seen her so confident and brave and just like embodied. And I heard these things, but I never really thought anything of it because it came so naturally to me. I was a special education student, and I had a learning disability with a speaking impediment, and I am a global speaker. Nobody taught me how to. It was just through ridiculous amounts of repetition. And then I created something called Speakers Boot Camp, teaching people how to be confident, speaking, being present, and how to connect to audiences. Nobody taught me And so all this came through in that journey. They said, Garrain, you'll be at a party and there'll be 300-400 people. All of a sudden, you'll just belt out a note. And people are like, oh my God, that something happened inside of me. You don't think anything of that? Or you'll just pull out your tribal drum and you'll just start drumming. Next thing you know, 200 people are dancing. But you say you're a transformation coach, but you've never even given this a shot. Garrain, reverse it. Lead in with your artistry. Lead in with your embodiment, your confidence, everything, all of that, the artistry, and bring out the artist in people. You'll tap into every industry. So reverse it and then take them to all of the, been taught by masters and shamans and all the silent retreats. Take them to that, because that's such a small population. But everybody wants confidence. Everybody wants to be brave. You can be brave in this area, but why haven't you put out the book? Why haven't you asked the guy or girl out? So you will literally tap into every arena. And then all of a sudden, Awaken the Artist Within comes in. This was only 2 months ago. And I said, I know exactly my lane. And I told my team, burn the boats. I'm going to change the language. I'm buying the identity, everything. I know exactly where I'm going. I wrote 30 pages. And I said, first thing is going to be a retreat. It's going to sell out. And I'm going to attract a higher caliber of people than anything I've ever done. I know it. I promoted it for 3 weeks. And I didn't do any public promotions. The thing sold out. 51 people, $200,000 later. I put in $20,000 and 200,000 came back. Now, 2 of those people wanted to do one-on-one coaching. That's $120,000 for 12 sessions. They're already booked. You know what I'm saying? So it just kept going. And I was like, yo, I didn't even have to try. It's Garrain, it's who you are. It's who you be. Nobody expresses themselves in the way that you do. There's a lot of people that do inner child, and then you look at them, they're not embodying it. A lot of people. But the way in which you express yourself with so much radiant confidence, nobody taught you that. You can teach people that, though. This is what you bring to the world, and you will reach all kinds of people. So inside of my retreat, had a billionaire, had a guy that's teaching all kinds of people to become millionaires. But that billionaire saw me at a party drumming, and then I pulled him up on stage, and he hit me on a DM and says, I want more of that. I'm like, what, you want me to teach you how to drum? He said, no. The way that you confidently and freely express yourself. Everything that I've gained in my life is from overcompensating. I'm not really doing what I feel called to do. He's like, I want that. So I had so many different kinds of people. And that's what I love the most about my Awaken the Artist Within retreat. That was only a week ago. Every single person there had a massive breakthrough. It wasn't kind of, massive. Guys, girls, but it was insane. And the tribe that was created and because here's the people inside of the retreat are already doing big things. So now they're sharing resources with each other. Now I have another retreat coming up in October called Artist Power Expressed. But July 11th is the 12-week mastermind accountability group that leads right into Artist Power Expressed. Half of them signed up in one day. And I doubled the price.
Yeah. Alignment.
Next one will be Artist Power Revealed. You know what I'm saying? So, but I know what my next books are. It all just comes out when you're tapped in.
When you're listening. Yeah.
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 So I'm really like, that's what I'm really jazzed about, because I don't even have to try to find language, because it's what literally powered everything I've ever done. I just never created anything around the source of it, because it has the ability to open up co-creation with God. And you literally get wrapped up in nature, and it's nature giving itself back to itself.
What you're saying is so relatable to me because I started writing a book about 70 days ago. The manuscript's already complete. I
Congratulations.
set an October 1st deadline and I already have over 70,000 words.
Hey.
The story of why I started writing it is quite synchronistic too. And it reminds me of your modeling story where it was just like, when it's time, it's time. And there's a spiritual mentor of mine. Hilariously, actually, I started listening to his tapes back when people listened to tapes in the car. Because my parents listened to his work, and my parents would just be driving around back in the 90s and 2000s, and it was just kind of, in training me as a child. And I hit a point this past December where I was watching my growth, I was tracking it, and I was going, this is really exciting. And also, I'm feeling a little scared. Feeling a little scared at the rate at which I'm expanding. And I want to make sure that I'm doing this with integrity. I want to make sure I'm treating myself, I'm treating others, I'm treating our earth in a way that I feel proud of. And I want to look to people that I deeply respect to show, to light the way. And my experience was that the people I had sort of looked to before were quickly becoming my friends and peers, and that was exciting to me, but I really wanted to stay engaged in the process. And so I had this one day where I was hitting kind of a low point, just kind of crying out to the universe, like, I need a mentor or something. I really do. I want that. I was sitting in front of my altar and there was a book on the table, and I had started reading it a year before actually. And I was like, oh yeah, Neil, I wonder if he's still alive. And I flip to the back and I look at his photo and he looks like a spiritual Santa Claus, and he's almost 80 now. And I looked him up. He was indeed alive. And it was one of those moments where I clicked to his website. And sorry, Neil, if you ever hear this, but his website is super archaic. And it's like a super outdated website. It's adorable. And there was just this group coaching program that had just launched like that week or something, the signups. So I signed up, and it was led by his guest coaches. But as a part of it, we got 3 calls, mentorship calls with Neil directly. And I started to do the program, but really what I was excited about was getting on with Neil. And it was one of those things when we got on, first call, just the Zoom screen lights up and we lock eyes and we both start to smile. It was like this instantaneous recognition or sense of humor, just like the way that you can speak with someone. It was so, so familiar. And he asked me a little bit about myself. I talked about what I was doing in the world, but really what I cared about, and that was people. That was being aligned with my truth, being honest with myself about what I want and when I make mistakes, and allowing myself to be witnessed in that process by others and feeling free. And at the end of that call, he said, so when are you writing your book? I was like,
Accountability.
I didn't even, I was like, I don't remember mentioning that I've been writing since I was 8 years old. I've been keeping diaries since 1998 and have volumes of journals from every year of my life. And I said, I don't know. He's like, set a deadline. And I said, okay, fine. October 1st. And he said, what's the title of your book? And I said, oh, I don't know. I'm working on a bunch. And he goes, oh, that's an exciting title. And he closed his eyes and he said, this is the title of your book. And he gave me a title, even though he didn't know a thing about what I wrote about or really what I was doing. So, and I'm sitting there amazed, like, did Neil just give me a title for my book? Is this what's happening right now? I got up the next day and I started writing. every day. Haven't missed a day in, like I said, 70, 75 days. And had my last call with Neil. And I asked him, I said, will you continue to work with me? And if you've ever heard him speak or even write, he loves cliffhangers. So he just paused for an uncomfortable amount of time. And he said, well, I can't really work with everyone from the public. There's so many people. And he goes, but in this case, yeah, I don't have a choice. Feels like we've done this before, And there was this feeling, Garrain, that erupted from my chest that felt like joy and grief at the same time. When
you're about to cry right now.
When your moment in life finds you, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I'm thinking about people listening to our stories who have just been sucked under the undertow of life many, many times. And they're just looking for some hope. And that's what I want to give them here with you today, is some hope. And we're talking about the confidence, and we're talking about all those things, and the mental hygiene and keeping ourselves focused on the good things. Yes. But I want to talk about what's hard too. I want to talk about what we've been through.
Yeah.
And I want to invite you into that now, because I know, I feel from you that you've had to overcome a great amount of shadow.
Yeah.
And I would love to meet here in that intimacy and share that with people if you're willing.
Yeah. That's my go-to. Yeah. It was shortly after the modeling, I got greedy. I got super greedy. So it didn't matter what was going on. I was like, how can I find more ways to make money? I had a girlfriend in France. I was actually dating Miss France at the time. And I met these guys that were in this nightclub that I knew back from LA. And they offered me an opportunity to make the kind of money I wanted to make, like fast. I never made fast money. You do a modeling job, you get a check like 4 months later sometimes.
Right.
Never made the day I do a job, the day I make the money. So, over a couple hours of conversation, and I'm at a club. Basically, the prompt was meet this other guy in a parking garage. Get this BMW, drive it over a ferry from the UK. Once you get off the ferry, you drive to Rotterdam, and then somebody's going to give you 4,000 pounds cash. And at that time, pounds were worth 2.3 US dollars. So that's like $9,000 right then and there.
Yeah.
Well, I did that route 7 times. Didn't know what I was driving in the car, but I knew I was doing something bad. And my scapegoat was being at the border with a magazine cover, me on the magazine cover. They're like, what are you here for? I'm like, I'm here to do a modeling job. And I got away with it 7 times. Well, the last time they asked me to come into France, which is a completely different route. I get to the border of the UK. They pull me out of the car. They x-ray the car. They see these Congo drums. They open up the Congo drums and they pull out these yellow bricks, which ended up being 6.2 kilos of heroin. The most anti-drug person you will ever meet, never had a sip of alcohol in his life, just got busted for 6.2 kilos of heroin and sentenced to 12 years in prison. Just imagine. And I was in the height of my career.
Oh, I feel sick.
Yeah, I was in the height. I mean, everything was going my way.
Crashing down on you.
And I just had a baby. So all that happened, just had a baby, doing stuff for
No,
MTV, doing stuff for all this stuff on billboards in New York, in magazines, in commercials, on music videos. And in the height of all that, greedy for money, I get sentenced to 12 years in prison. Get out in 2.5 years. So I did 2.5 years.
You did 2.5 years in prison.
Overseas.
Overseas. Oh my God.
There's so much more to my story,
Well,
but that's a part.
Of
That's
course.
such a powerful story that VH1 has done a documentary on it that's out right now.
What's it called?
Discovery Channel has done a documentary on it that's out right now called Locked Up Abroad.
Wow.
And you can be on the airplane. You can look it up online.
No way.
It's called Model Drug Run.
Wow.
So I spent 2.5 years in a French prison.
How did that change you?
While I was in prison, I spent the first 2 years looking at a clock. And when you're looking at a clock, time goes by real slow. And then one day, I watched this movie called Shawshank Redemption, which is a movie that's based out of prison. And Tim Robbins, the lead actor, says they can take anything they want away from me, but they can't take away my mind. I had the biggest epiphany of my life. And I was like, wait a second. Well, I know why I'm in prison. Because while I was quote unquote free, I used to say every day, I feel like I'm so far away from where I'm supposed to be. I feel like I'm in prison inside of my own body. To the point where I literally manifested being far away from where I was supposed to be in Europe, in a prison.
Yeah.
And I said, if I can think myself in prison, then I can think myself out of prison. So in that case, I am a free man.
Yes.
What would a free person do while they're on lockdown? By the way, you know the word lockdown? So while I was on lockdown, and I thought God was taking all this, took away my daughter, took away my money, took away my job, take away all this. Or because the universe reminded me of what I forgot about, which was myself. Because I gave power to all those things. And I left myself last until I was forced to face myself and my thoughts and my shame and my guilt and all the secrets I've ever held, all of it over and over every day for 2 straight years. Until that moment I said, wait a minute. Well, then I'm free. And losing my freedom, I discovered my freedom. Because here's what happened. I remembered when I was a little kid, I used to love to sing because it made me feel free and happy. I remembered that I used to love to dance because it made me free and happy. I remembered that I used to love art. I used to love to draw. And this is when I was like 5 or 6 because it made me free and happy and it brought me so much joy. I remembered that I used to love to run. So while I was in prison, I started painting again. And an inmate says, thank you so much because I painted him a portrait of his family. Do you want anything? I'm like, nah. Because the thing that I wanted was for people to be happy. I was already happy, so they were benefiting from my overflow that I'd given to myself. The inmate goes, every time you sing, it makes me feel free. So I started singing every night. I was already happy. I started motivating people and I started doing all the stuff I used to do when I was a little kid. We start telling this story again. And then there was a little voice inside that said, hey, Garrain, run. You love to run. Mind you, we'd walk outside in the morning. In America, they call it promenade. They call it the yard. Here they call it promenade. You walk around in a circle for an hour and then 2 hours in the afternoon. I saw fights. I saw drug deals. I saw stabbing. And a little voice says, run. You love to run with nobody running. So one day I decided to honor that little voice and I started running. 3 days later, there's about 6 inmates running with me. This is when nobody's running.
Wow.
30 days, 64 inmates were running with me. Less fights, less drug deals, less stabbing.
Wow.
When I was running every day and doing all the stuff that I used to love to do as a kid, mom, dad, truly honoring the deepest reaches of my heart, that's when I became a free man. Regardless of my circumstances. And the outside is the physical manifestation of what's going on the inside. So I'm serving a 12-year sentence, free as a bird.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, they called me into the office while I'm operating under the energy of real freedom, not like this president is taking away my freedom or the left is taking away my freedom or the right or this fighting for freedom. Oh, mind your energy when you say that.
Right.
Because the freedom that you really want is the freedom to love or freedom from love.
Right.
Be mindful of your energy when you're talking about freedom or what you're fighting for.
Right.
So what I realized was when I gave myself my own internal freedom, whatever the health of the seed determines the growth of the tree and the fruit that it produces.
Yes.
My seed was free.
Yes.
They called me into the office. I thought I was going to get in trouble for God knows what. They said, Jones, we retested the drugs. Mind you, they had already tested the drugs 3 times. It was 6.2 kilos of heroin 3 times.
Wow.
So magically, when I feel, when I am embodying the characteristics of freedom.
Yes. Yeah.
And I have confidence.
Yes.
In my freedom.
Yes.
And I'm brave enough to follow my heart. They retest the drugs.
Yeah.
They said to me, 90% was fake.
No.
And for the amount that was real, you've already done the time. You're free to go home. In hindsight, I have activated my artist power. And the universe had to follow. So however I think of myself, whatever I give to myself, whatever level of love I give to myself, the outward expression has to match. It is a law.
Yes. Yes.
This is what I teach in my retreats. I teach people how to find their way back home.
Thank you for helping us remember.
You're very welcome.
That is such a powerful story. Wow. Reminds me a little bit of the book by Damien Eccles, A High Magic. He was put on death row.
High Magic?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds dope.
Yeah, High Magic. And he was put on, I think, death row. Like he was sentenced to death. And very similar story as he started practicing magic. Is what the term that he uses. He started practicing magic in prison, but really it was all these same concepts. Like, what do you align your thoughts with, your energy, your intention? And I'm not going to give away the whole story, but obviously he didn't get put to death. So it's just an incredible, incredible journey. And wow, Garrain. Thank you. That is.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's really potent.
The beautiful thing about that is I didn't get those lessons till 10 years after I got out of prison. Because you can't change what you're not aware of. You can't see the picture while you're in the frame. It wasn't until I started doing self-development work and doing silent retreats and going to seminars, emotional intelligence, that gave me language. So I can be like, oh, that's what happened.
Yes.
So I hit more roller coasters and I was living in my car for 2.5 years, $200,000 in debt. Girlfriend broke up with me. Mom was dying in the hospital. My daughter pretty much disowned me. All that happened at the exact same time in 2011. And then I started reading a book called The Power of Positive Thinking, which is like, wait a second, this is the book that I read when I was in prison. And then I started drawing.
Yeah.
And I started running every day. And I started motivating people. I was living in my storage unit, and I had 125 YouTube videos out, and the series was called The Storage. So regardless of my circumstances and being $200,000 in debt, there was something inside that said, do this, and I did it.
Right.
So regardless of my new prison, I honored the calling. That little Garrain, do this. Oh my God, what about this idea? What about this? Do this. And magically, an opportunity for me to get paid to do the exact same thing that I was doing for free.
Yep.
And not just kind of get paid. I'm talking in the millions within 4 years
Right.
of living in my car $200,000 in debt.
I get it.
And it's 7 years later. So just imagine. And I never looked back.
Wow. Wow.
So running, all this stuff. You know, when I found this Awaken the Artist Within, kind of started running again, doing my art again.
I see.
And I'm like,
Came home to yourself again. It all opened back up.
I keep forgetting that there's a butterfly, there's a worm, there's a larva, there's a butterfly. And then it goes through that dark space and it doesn't recognize to the butterfly or the worm. And then it emerges into the butterfly.
Yeah.
However, evolution says, go back into the dark space. And you just keep doing the process over and over and over again. And I just came out of a 3-year space, but I just know how to approach it differently where the darkness doesn't get off on people.
Tell me
all
about
of the
that.
work.
Tell me about that, because I think that's really important.
Yeah. So before, I just wasn't aware of my leaky energy. So I set up brain hacks, soul hacks, heart hacks, healthy booby traps so that when things come up,
I love that.
when negativity comes up, I know exactly the audio. I know I got accountability groups. I have mentors.
Yep.
I got workshops. I have a spiritual coach that I've been literally seeing every week for 10 years.
Yep.
Monica Zans. So I'm not in this world alone. I'm a part of networks. I sign up. I'm a part of a $150,000 mastermind where I'm literally sitting at a table with Jim Quick and the owner of the Cincinnati Reds and this person. I'm like, oh, I'm hearing all these things. I should create a mastermind.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what? I just created one that's starting in July, and guess what I'm going to feed them? Same information I get from these big
100%.
So all of that, anytime I go somewhere, I got accountability groups, I have coaches, I have a community, groupthink, like all of it. So I'm never by myself with my thoughts. So it gives me 5 minutes, boom, 5 minutes tops, where I process my process.
Right. It's quick.
I don't give myself more than an hour. And I come right out of it.
Healthy booby traps.
Yeah. Healthy booby. My whole house, my car.
It's a beautiful house.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, all of it.
Yeah.
Every speck of it, something that sparks joy or an emotion that helps me remind myself of who I truly am.
So you get into your car, you go onto your pickleball court, and these are almost like they can be pattern interrupters.
All of it.
You're like, oh yes, I love these things. Yes.
Love. I don't kind of love. I don't do it for popularity. My car, his name is Smitty.
Your car is awesome.
It's a really nice G-Wagon, but its name is Smitty. That was named after my favorite turtle when I was 5. Y'all see the awesome G-Wagon.
Yeah.
I'm getting into the energy of Smitty.
Yeah, talk about the paint job on that.
Yeah, like turquoise is my favorite.
That's my favorite color. Did you know that?
No.
And we have the same birthday.
I think that's really cool.
July 3rd.
And we're both allergic to cats.
Yeah.
I
That's
know.
really wild.
I know.
Turquoise, man. I love it. It's like this. It's like this ocean color.
Yep.
I was having some body work the other day, and the body worker said, what's your favorite color? And I said turquoise. And he said, I want you to expand the color turquoise through your whole beingness and become aware of it. Aware of what that color feels like inside your body. And envisioning turquoise in my body, Garrain, it felt like it was my core essence. And then he asked me to become aware of anything that wasn't me, that was within my field, that was a different color. But I cannot believe you're telling me turquoise is your favorite color. Yeah. Okay. So Smitty.
Smitty is a healthy booby trap.
Smitty's a healthy booby trap. What else is a healthy booby trap for you? You got your mastermind.
I listened to the audiobook called The Power by Rhonda Byrnes.
Yep.
It sets me,
Rhonda Byrnes
we're
is
all in a
great.
specific pattern and rhythm.
Yeah.
You think of 3-part harmony.
Yeah.
One note is off key. It throws the whole song off.
Absolutely.
The way in which the audiobook is attuned, even the music in it, instantly sets me in attune to my specific rhythm pattern.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just listen, or I'll lay on the ground, me swimming, me running. I wake up every day at 4:30 in the morning and I just go and run. It's me and the nighttime. 8 miles this morning. Some guy wanted to have a meeting. I was like, meet me at 4:30 a.m. He showed up. He was there for 5 miles. And then it was almost like I picked up a hitchhiker. And then he went. He was like, yo, thank you for the push. And I went off for another, my other mileage. So I don't run for working out. That's my sanctuary. That is my meditation. That's what opens me up to my channel, up to just like whatever God wants to bring through me, whatever my ancestors for infinite wisdom wants to bring through me. And I get so many downloads when I'm running.
Yes. You know, that what this makes me think of is prioritizing our essence.
Yes.
There's so many excuses for why people don't think, oh, well, I would do that if I had time, but I have responsibilities. I have a family. I have a blah, 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 blah. Prioritizing our essence, because like you said, it's the portal. It's the channel that opens us up to everything else. It makes those yeses become clear and those no's become clear. It creates the possibility for us it's the time to listen.
Yeah.
It's the time to tune in. It's the time to say, what do I care about? What do I really care? Not just what society care. Yeah, like really. Like if I'm going to die today, am I going to be proud of myself? Truly, am I going to be proud of myself? And I think when you have near-death experiences or you have really powerful...
I'm getting super comfortable on this thing.
Hey, recline yourself.
I'm just not as flexible.
But you look cool because you're lean back.
Thank you so much. And I got the hat with the red tip.
There we go. Yeah. So anyway, the essence. That's it. So there's someone listening to this right now that really wants to pop an excuse at us for why they can't start doing some of the things that they would like to do. That would be really nice. They don't have the privilege to do that like we do because they don't have, I had somebody say to me, well, but I have a 9-to-5 job. And I said, oh, you think it was always like this for me? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it wasn't. Like I lived out of my car. I couldn't make my own rent 2 years ago. I've quadrupled my business in a couple of years because of these principles I'm attempting to share with you. And it's totally your choice to deny them. That's your freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you and I aren't different. Any person's eyes I look into, I'm not special. I've just been very dedicated to learning how to be joyful, to allowing myself to be joyful and to really choose to align and to find the quiet, to find my breath, to surround myself with people that inspire me. That's been a conscious choice. My father said to me, when the show started to grow and my career completely changed because I've had just multiple random crazy careers, he goes, wow, you're so lucky. You can travel around, you can make your own schedule, and you can do whatever you want. And I said, Dad, make no mistake about this. none of this is luck. This is very consciously created.
Yeah.
Welcome to the game. If you want to play, let's trade rules. Let's trade codes. Let's talk about it. So that's.
By the way, I just got a download for you.
Let's have it.
Creating a course called Conscious Creation.
Yo, you're not even going to believe this. I keep a note in my phone of the courses that I create.
Mm-hmm.
And I've typed word for word those words before. Conscious creators. Yeah.
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 It was so alive inside of my body when you said that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
We'll maybe have to have you drop into that and sprinkle some of your magic, be a part of it. Sweet. So I'd love to invite you in this moment to tune into your heart, like really get in there into your body, touch source, connect, and ask if there's anything in this moment on this platform, what wants to be shared with this audience. If there's a story, if there's a moment, if there's a harrowing thing you've overcome, if there's a silly part of you that we don't know yet that you want to share about, I want to turn this over to you to enlighten us with any final pieces of wisdom and excitement you want to bring.
Yeah, what I feel called to share is just a closed eye visualization.
Great.
So I'm going to invite everybody to close their eyes. Take a deep breath in your nose. Out your mouth. In your nose. Out your mouth. In your nose. Out your mouth with a smile. In your nose. Out your mouth with a sigh. Eyes still closed. I want you to imagine that you're on a playground. All the kids are playing and having so much fun on the swing, on the slip and slide, going up and down, just running up and down the little colorful ABC blocks, the jungle gyms, the monkey bars, and they're just so much fun. I want you to feel what it feels like, just playing with those kids and like you being one of those kids and you're in the absolute state of bliss and joy. Okay. Now, in your mind's eye, I want you to look over to your right at the little kid that's sitting by his or herself with tears in her eyes, in his eyes. Angry look on her face. And I want you to imagine walking over to that little kid and saying, hey, why don't you come play with us? And little kid kicks their feet. Nobody ever wants to play with me. I'm not like the rest. And then you insist, no, but everything will be okay. Like, no. Everyone always leaves me. Everyone always abandons me. Nobody likes me. And imagine yourself continuously insisting, not letting up, pursuing a relationship with that kid, saying, hey, you actually belong over here with the rest of us. And after an hour of nonstop pursuing, you're safe with us. It's okay. I'll be right by your side. The kid looks up and says, are you sure? Are you really sure? It's like, yes, everything's going to be okay. I don't know about what it was in the past, But I'm letting you know everything is going to be okay. No matter what you look like, no matter what you sound like. And so finally, a little kid takes your hand, tears in her eyes, and she slowly starts to walk towards the rest of the kids. And then she starts playing with the kids. Now I want you to imagine that little kid being the part of you that you have not chosen to love. The part of you that's the secret that you've never shared. The part of you that's the shame that you've never released. The part of you that's the guilt that you've never released. The part of you that hates your dad, that hates your mom, that holds resentment towards the person who molested you. And you haven't ever given that part of you an opportunity to play with the rest of the kids. Now I want you to pursue a relationship with that part of you. Coming out of this closed eye process, I want you to pursue a relationship with that kid the same way that you did in the visual process. And then watch what happens to your nervous system. Watch what happens to your heart. Watch what happens to your intimacy. Watch what happens to the field of joy and the field of abundance around you, because you're operating from full embodiment and not from partial energy. All of you is welcome. All of you matters. Your whole life, your whole existence is a part of your human experience. So if you leave any aspect of you on the table or try to run away or try to disassociate from your shadow or a dark part of you, you're actually giving partial to the world. Open your eyes. And I'll tell you, like my samurai teacher, master, taught me. He would never, ever answer my question. Studied to be a samurai for 4 years. Never. What is this? What is that? He'd always look at me, deep breath. You know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to share this with each of you out there. You know what to do. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. Buy my mixtape. Just kidding.
But truly, where can people find you? First of all, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes, yes.
She gets to be loved too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My website, GarrainJones.com. My Instagram, Garrain.Jones. Like heavy on that.
Heavy on that.
Like super heavy on that. And just my book, Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life.
Yeah, we'll put that
which
in
just like 3-time bestseller. And
no big deal.
Sold almost 100,000 copies with like no money behind it, no marketing, no ads. It's just all people just want to share it.
Yeah.
Now we're about to put some money behind it, see what happens to this engine.
Amazing.
So so my book and has some really cool courses on my website, relationship courses for singles and people in relationship with me and my wife. And we have a retreat coming up. I'm so excited. Artist Power Expressed. But the mastermind that leads into the retreat starts July 11th in a week. Everybody in the public is going to know about it, and you get the opportunity to register. It will sell out. I'm telling you, it will sell out. It will sell out. It will sell out. Do not be the person to be like, man, I should have. Mm-hmm. When you have the opportunity now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Garrain. It's been such a pleasure to have you here today.
You're so welcome, and thank you for having me in all of my positions.
Perfect. Come as you are, right?
Yeah.
Thanks again.